So Kim, we were talking before we started the interview. We're sitting right next to the cutting garden, which is at the back of the formal gardens, and it's mid-August right now. The flowers are in full bloom. Tell us about the cutting garden.
Well, this is a pretty interesting story. When Mr. and Mrs. Rockefeller came up here for 6 weeks out of the year, and now there'd been a change in the guard as far as the horticultural aspect of the property. Brian Lynch was retired, and a gentleman by the name of Roy Thomas was in place as the horticulturist for Mr. Rockefeller in this area. They had sold a lot of their holdings in the islands, which Mr. Rockefeller had resorts in the islands, and Roy Thomas was pretty much based down there to look after the Canal Bay, Little Dick, St. John's, the resorts that were down there. And so when Brian Lynch was retired, Roy was brought up here, and Roy just started taking over all of Mr. Rockefeller's properties. And when he came here, he found out that one day he was walking through the formal gardens, which was his kind of baby, and he could see a lot of things were cut. And so he approached some of the house people and asked them what was going on in the formal garden. And they said, well, we've been cutting flowers. You know how Mrs. Rockefeller loves her flowers. He said, no. You can't be cutting flowers, and that is to be looking, you're supposed to be looking at this. You're not supposed to be cutting it. And so it came down through the pike, and Mrs. and Mrs. Rockefeller said, well, Roy, what can we do? Well, let me look around the property. So we came up here, and there was just a wasteland there. This whole area was full of old rhubarb, some scraggly old trees, and there wasn't much here at all. It was really kind of a mess. So at that time, I was a supervisor for the Woodstock Inn, working on the grounds crew, and Roy came to me and said, is there anything you could do up here, Kim? I got some ideas, but I need somebody to build it for me. So he scratched out something on a piece of paper, and all the stone here was on the property. And he said, we need a cutting garden so that the house people can cut flowers. And so it took me about 2 weeks. I came in here, we cut the trees. I pretty much took a skid steer loader, stripped everything from the stone wall to the greenhouse. And it was pretty much, the boys would come and supply me with stone and whatnot every day. And then they would go on and do their mowing and whatnot. So I spent about 2 weeks. And then Roy, him and I planted it the first year with cut flowers like we see now. Not the same, sort of the same things, but I always introduce new ones every year. And he gave me one section to express myself, which was down at the end. He did everything except I got one little section down there to do. So I got to play a little bit, and then it got so after a while, as time went on, Roy would just say, Kim, go ahead, plant it. You know what we're doing. Just at the time there was a local greenhouse up the road, so it made it real convenient. We could go up and buy plant material, and so and that's about it. And I've been sort of taking care of it ever since. And I figure that this is, of all the park here, this is the only thing that I can really put my name on. And one of the interactions with Mr. and Mrs. Rockefeller was one day, it was about this time of year, because it was about the middle of August before they left. Roy always walked around the property with them, to look for work and whatever, and what ideas that they had. And I was actually working in this garden, and Mr. and Mrs. Rockefeller and Roy came by here, and Roy actually brought Mr. and Mrs. Rockefeller over to me, introduced me, and told them that I was responsible for this was what I did here for them. And they really appreciated it. They shook my hand, and they said it was lovely. We enjoyed the flowers the time that we were here, and it really thanked me. So even though they were the Rockefellers, they were people. They were like regular people. They really were. And every year when they left, it would always come down through Roy to the grounds crew here that they really appreciated all our work. So, and I always felt like it was up to me in my own mind to try to keep the gardens and the property as though they were coming back.